Well, happy Friday the 13th, and welcome to the Semex webinar to highlight the August 2021 Sire Proof results. My name is Shannon. I'm Director of Genetic Programs and Solutions, and I'm very pleased to be joined today by my colleagues who have a lot of passion and expertise in the Holstein and Jersey breeds. For Holsteins, we have Paul Trapp, Genetic Acquisition Team Lead, and Mike West, Product Development Specialist. And for the jerseys, we have Michael Hurst, who is the Director of USA Sales and Business Development. Welcome, everyone. You can advance the slide, Mike. So if you have any questions or comments at any point during the presentation, we ask you to type it in the question box on the control panel, and we will be pleased to address any questions at the end of the webinar. Also in the control panel, you will see a document which is that you can download by clicking on it, and that's the PDF version of today's presentation. Well, it's been an eventful week with everybody in the genetics and the AI industry. As far as proof highlights, an overview of what has occurred is we all knew that we were having a new net merit, cheese merit formula, and much what we expected to happen occurred with that release of the new formula. So there was lots of re-rankings that were going to occur from that formula. But every proof, we do have some re-rankings, some adjustments within the ranking of bulls, and new bulls are coming with daughters, and there always can be a little shuffle as more accuracy within bulls is established. And this proof particularly, there was some prominent bulls that dropped in their proofs, and this has a recursive effect across the population. AI companies with sons of these bulls, but also maternal grandsire. Other companies have often maternal grandsires from other studs. So the loss of some of these bulls in terms of their value, combined with the formula change, did see a lot of re-ranking and shuffling in all of our top index lists for this industry. We also had a new recessive in the Ayrshire breed that is called AMC, and that is something that has been released with this proof on the Ayrshire breed. Okay. The new recessive, just to describe what it is in the Ayrshire breed, it's called arthrogryposis multiplex congenita, and it's a tough little saying to say, but AMC. It also is referred to as curly calf syndrome, so if that's a little easier way to remember the components of it. It's a congenital condition that's characterized by multiple joint contractures and curved hooks joints involving more than one part of the body. In other words, all the joints are tending to be curved and curly and curl into one another. Homozygous cattle are born stillborn, and what we're hearing reports of may require a C-section to remove the calf and could impact the health of the cow. So it's a very serious recessive, a lethal recessive that needs to be addressed within the Ayrshire breed. Sources, the recessive sources to the Swedish Red Bull, Petersland, who is in the backs of lots of pedigrees worldwide in the Ayrshire and red breeds in Europe. Semex has tested all of our Ayrshire bulls less than 5 years of age, and we're currently testing a large number of older sires, either those that are still current in marketing or those in pedigrees. All the results are published on Semex.com, and as we test the next phase of bulls, they'll be on Semex.com. And the one comforting thing in these kind of situations, you want to have some tools to be able to breed around it and protect yourself. So we have built Optimate made the modifications to incorporate this recessive so that you can avoid matings that can create this condition and still move forward in genetic improvement in the Ayrshire breed. Go ahead. So I'm going to turn into the net merit formula, and we've had a webinar about it, but just to highlight again some of the changes that have come in the net merit formula. The first color section is about reduced traits that had reduced relative emphasis. So we had less emphasis put on fat, and in particular, when you put less emphasis on fat, you're talking about the fat protein ratio that has quite an impact of rankings. The net merit put quite a bit less emphasis on, and it didn't have a lot before, but even less emphasis due to the research they've done on udder composite and feet and leg composite. With the change in calving ability that happened last proof, the less weighting on calving ability was put on, and then livability was also reduced in weight, but of course we have heifer livability that has been added. Increased relative emphasis on traits that already are in the formula, productive life, accounting for maturity effects that weren't accounted before, caused an increase in productive life in the formula. Body weight composite, a negative weighting on body size to address maintenance costs for feed it was already in the formula. That weighting was almost doubled in terms of the negative emphasis on size in the net merit formula. New traits that were added: residual feed intake associated with feed costs and basically the biological feed efficiency is the trait that was the new component added in net merit, and then two other traits to a lesser degree: heifer livability as a new trait. That is, we had livability, which was as a cow, and now we have heifer livability as a calf, and then early first calving as a means of earlier cycling and getting animals into production earlier. Yep. Net merit has changed over time. Every, I guess you can look and try and take a pattern there, but every few years the net merit has changed. It started off with just 2 or 3 traits, and then which were production oriented, and then over time has been expanded to try to identify the revenue and cost equation and the overall estimation towards economics. So it has gone from 3 traits to this latest version being 35 traits with these new additions of traits. And now the extra progress that is achieved from this net merit versus the net merit, the last net merit before this week, is 2.2% extra progress in economic merit. Because what what we're defining is we're redefining economics with greater accuracy to the pure economics that are there. The correlation with the previous index, if you look at the whole population, is 0.98. Then we know that actually when you look at the tops of the list, the correlation is much less. And what you're going to see is with the change in sires and pedigrees and some shuffling in the ranks without the net merit correlation is actually quite lower than we even expected. So, yeah. Go ahead. Distribution of net merit for AI bulls. What you see here is in the orange is the new net merit. So what you see on average is a higher value that stretches out wider. So when we used to see bulls that are passing the 800 and 900, we're now going to see that get up to 1100, 1200 in terms of dollar value. Overall reliability is a little lower, 5%, 4% lower reliability, because what we're incorporating is a lower reliable trait in terms of residual feed intake and feed saved, and that causes the overall index to have a lower reliability, but it achieves a higher economic value, and so you sacrifice a little on reliability, but achieving a little more in terms of overall gain. Go ahead, Mike. And so what you see is when you define the economics in a broader way that defines it better, then the expected genetic trend that can be achieved towards overall economics is going to increase. By selecting for this, we can make greater strides towards overall economics, and that's what is expected to be achieved with this formula. And I showed this before, but this is then updated with the new. So if we look at the August net merit, and I looked at just bulls with semen code, and took this is basically breaking down them by their ranking all the way down to the top 2,000. And so the average net merit change, and this is all bulls in the industry, was for the top 100 net merit today. The average change in them was 199 points. Now, if I do take the top 100 animals and I run a correlation to how their old net merit and their new net merit re-rank, the correlation is just 0.43. So that tells you this this component of, I think we were expecting somewhere around 0.6 or so, but with the changes in the shuffling of some of the sires in the pedigrees that I mentioned earlier, then it's actually caused a fair re-ranking when you combine the two effects. But you can also see that the scaling of difference, as you go down farther in the rankings, and these are all genomic bulls with semen code. So as you go further down the rankings, the amount of change is lower. So the bulls in the top 1,000 to 2,000 go up 121. So just a little over half of the amount of the ones that in the top 100. So we're going to have this stretch of overall net merit values. You can see if I take the correlation, that 0.83 is the correlation of the top 2,000 bulls. So if I look at the top 2,000 bulls and correlate their net merit value, then in 0.03, and again, even at that number, that's a big amount of re-ranking within the population. Cheese merit is somewhere, I would say somewhere between a third to a half of the amount of change as the Holstein. And in Jersey, we don't have residual feed intake, so you don't have that component in, and probably less impact of there's some bulls changing that have had some effect for sure, but probably not to the same degree the Holstein did this time. So correlation is 0.58 if I look at the top 100, and if I look at the top 500 in the Jersey on cheese merit, we're looking at cheese merit in the Jersey case, it's 0.77. So again, still big, huge re-rankings in the Jersey breed from this change. Go ahead, Mike. Just looking at top genomic sires for net merit, and just kind of seeing that, we had values that, on the elite would slip over the 900 mark, and then some in 800s, and now we're seeing values all over 1,000 here on this group. Bulls that really benefited up, bulls like Brave that have almost a balanced protein and fat index, so loses less in fat, gains it on protein, and a high feed saved. And so there's certain bulls that will, the new formula would actually, if they ranked well and then the new formula favors them more, they're going to beat the average of their group and go up more. And that's the kind of things that we see within the index. Obviously, underneath all this is the change in the bulls and that happen in pedigrees and some of those effects as well. But go ahead, Mike. And on the Jersey side, I'm listing genomic bulls that we have semen, and a few bulls that are being used in product development, but not in the market yet, just to show us some points of difference. But you can see some bulls going up as much as 136, 133, versus the average that's quite a bit lower than that. The one part on the Jersey breed, it uses the same basis of the economic index for net merit and cheese merit is the same for Jerseys as Holsteins. And one might argue that is the same, negative weight on body size needed on Jerseys to the same degree that it is on Holsteins. And so sometimes what we have is bulls are actually going up quite a bit or going down quite a bit because of of body size. You might not see it in the other traits, but it has a body size component. So I do think it's something that certainly has to be considered in the future if that's in line. But a very again, we see most of our bulls and bulls with really nice cheese merit. We have a really strong lineup that Michael will talk about of cheese merit bulls in the Jersey breed. And so the net effect that has really come from the index change is that the Holstein net merit is becoming less correlated to TPI. And one could argue they were, not greatly correlated before, but they're becoming even more further apart. If I take the top 2,000 Holstein bulls with semen code, the correlation from the old net merit to the TPI is 0.74, and to the new net merit is 0.61. So we're really talking about the two formulas having different purposes to even a far enough degree that they rank the population quite differently. So more distinct. The two lines of selection are really more distinct in terms of product segments and breeding goals of the herds. So the clients, you need to figure out your needs, what index aligns most closely with your selection goals, and then gravitate to that index based on the philosophies that are behind them. We stress again at Semex, with our Semex Works, we have a customized client index that tries to take some of these things out of the way and really try to define the economics of your farm, your parts that you're looking for, and try to have an index that you're looking for that can be, consistent to where you're aiming for the future. Yep. And I'll hand over to Mike West to take us through Mike West and Paul Trapp to take us through the Holstein highlights.
Great, thanks, Jay. And good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everybody. It's always great to get together with people from both locally and around the world that can take the time to join these webinars. And it's an exciting time, always Proof Day and Proof Week, because we go through all those changes that Jay just highlighted, which are certainly very important for all of you and your breeding decisions that are going to map out the future of your genetics at home and the farm. And it's an exciting day for us as well to be able to see the new bulls that get approved, the bulls that have been sold heavily as Genomic Sires, as well to see the way the new lineup of Genomic bulls rank and decide what are going to be the next generation of bulls to influence your farms and help you make those decisions. But one of the big things that we really like to talk about on these is our success globally. And I think, one of the key messages that I've tried to talk to people about this week following the proofs is Semex is very fortunate for ourselves and for our customers to be able to have a product line that's very diverse, and it can meet the needs of countries around the world's domestic indexes and fit the needs of the way you are paid in your country and the kind of cows that you want to develop. And because of that, and because of the efforts that we've put into being a global company and having a lineup that suits you globally, we see a list of successes like this from around the world. And it's a great day. And just to highlight a few of them, and this is just one slide of pages of highlights that we had sent into us from globally around the world. But a bull like West Coast Yamaska to be proven as the #1 PLL sire in the UK and continues to sell, a very popular bull that continues to go. And you can read through some of these as we go, but then you get bulls like Progenesis Mahomes, the #2 Genomic sire in Germany, a very popular bull for us around the world, a bull that we've used extensively within our own mating program, and look forward to him being able to give you the opportunity on your farms now as well in your own breeding decisions. A bull like the Ranger Red Bull, one of the most talked about bulls in recent history, the #1 Genomic LPI sire. He ranks as the #1 Genomic Red sire in the UK, the #6 Red sire in Germany. This is one of the most popular bulls that we have going now, available in sex semen around the world. Certainly will be a very influential sire, not only in red and whites, but in black and whites as well, as the #1 Genomic bull and a true red. Walnut Lawn Sidekick comes through as the #1 proven sire in Germany. He ranks high on a lot of type lists. You see him mentioned in this and in other presentations as well. A Legend Maker Victor, a bull that continues to do extremely well on the type side in Germany and here in Canada as well, and in other parts of the world. A pair of Stanton's bulls do very well in Holland on type. in Stanton's Applicable, Stanton's Adorable at number 1 and number 3. And then you get bulls like Progenesis Prosperous, again, ranking high in Germany, just showing that strength of our lineup, of the genomic lineup, as well as the proven lineup that's fitting those needs of type, overall profile, what have you. And we saw great success in Italy again this round, and we're very excited about that as we see the West Coast Perseus bull come through as the number 1 proven PFT bull. In Italy, this is a bull that's done very well in Australia as well, and we'll find out where he ranks next week when they get their official release, but a bull that continues to sell very well and is very strong for us as a proven bull in those countries. And then bulls like Royal Flush and others that rank in the top 6 of the top 10 genomic LPI or PFT bulls in Italy. A great lineup for us to focus on around the world. Congratulations to all of those that use those bulls to get them proven for us. And I think it just emphasizes the fact of the future of Semex will continue in this path. One of our biggest highlights that we had was here at home in Canada with the LPI rankings. And Semex is very, very excited to be able to have 4 of the top 5 bulls proven in the LPI listing today, with West Coast Alcove leading the charge at 3,794 LPI points. Quite a distance above the Alligator bull that remains strong, bull that's been around for a long time, a high type bull with a lot of profile to him as well. Gymnast still ranks in there, continues to strengthen himself, a bull that's been a global presence, kind of bull that's appealed to a lot of breeders. And Malari Fuel, a bull that I quite like for his great bloodlines and genetic profile that he has, rounds out that top 5 extremely well. Quite a group of proven bulls that I think will make great use of proven sires for our customers to continue using. And we'll talk about Alcove further in a few seconds, but a great lineup of LPI proven results. On the genomic front, another great day as well. And we see of the bulls that are 11 months and older, we look at those bulls this time as those are the bulls that are the closest to making semen for you to use, that are relevant for you. And we see the Ranger Red sit up there at 39.05, quite a distance between him and the number 2 bull that calls Semex home as well. Progenesis Monteverdi, that will be released later this fall. Bull that's been a big part of our product development program at 38.25. He excels in LPI and TPI. And then Holy Smokes, Bastram, Zaid, Lugnut. You see a diverse group of bulls coming from our partner herds, our internal program of Progenesis, from breeders around the world. 6 of the top 10 genomic LPI sires call Semex home. A very exciting profile and an exciting group of bulls that you can look forward to using in the upcoming months as well. Now I'm going to turn it over to my colleague Paul. And Paul, what can you tell us about results on the TPI listing this round?
Well, Mike, certainly a pleasure and an honor to be with our global staff and other participants today on this webinar. And I get the pleasure to talk about how Semex did on the US GTPI list. Listed in front of us, we are extremely well representative with 15 bulls in the top 100 proven bull list. And part of the job of the team at Progenesis and our external team and our partner herds is to provide our customers and representatives around the globe with pedigree diversity. And as we look at the list of 15 different bulls, there's a lot of diversity in this group. There's 10 different sires represented in these 15 different bulls and 12 different maternal grandsires. So people that are looking for different types of bloodlines, we certainly do have access to that. If you're looking for bulls that can excel in some of the health trait areas, look no further than Progenesis Definite and Progenesis Y. Both of those bulls are ultra low bulls at 2.5 and 2.66 respectively on their sow count, and both of those bulls are over 2 points on DPR. If you're looking for a protein specialist, Silver Edge V-Phone is one of the top bulls proven at plus 76 pounds of protein. That's pretty big numbers on a lot of milking daughters to be that high on protein. If you're having a little trouble with your summer conception rate, you can increase your numbers by using some bulls with high SCR results, and those bulls would include Positive, Fuel, and Hawaii. All those bulls have huge numbers in their sire conception and multiple thousands and thousands of breedings on those bulls. One of Mike's favorites and a bull that we continue to talk about and is continuing to be popular is Malari Fuel. If you look at the top 100 proven bulls in the US, he's a bull that ranks extremely well within that group for overall type and udder composite. If you're looking for elite milk bulls or milk so pays the bills at your farm, Milk Time, the bull, is one of the elite milk bulls of the breed. This bull added daughters this time and went up over 100 pounds of milk, drank at 25.51 on his overall milk level, and that puts him in the top 3 bulls in the top 100 list for overall production. Bulls like Positive and Marius, we look for their information to continue to add, as they'll have a lot to do with pedigrees and the progenesis and external program, and as we start to see them filter into sons and grandsons available to our customers, and those bulls both solidified themselves as solid milk bulls with really nice components. Another bull to mention was we look at all the information. That all is very important, but also what are the field reports? What do the people like? And as I travel and look at cattle, the bulls on this list that are the customer satisfaction bulls include Challenger, Alcove, Positive, Fuel, and Granite are some of the favorites on this list. Specifically now, if we move into looking at Challenger himself, Challenger had a great day. Added a lot of information, a lot of the daughters, and gained over 126 TPI points, put him at the number 7 spot in the breed on the proven bull list. This bull was bred by Sandy Valley Farms here in Wisconsin and was developed by the Larcrest Farm in southern Minnesota. I've known this cow family and seen this cow family for almost every generation that's in this cow family. These cows are tough cows. They're built to last. These are medium-sized cows. Usually with this cow family, you get a little bit more frame, but specifically with Challenger, he's going to moderate that frame, going to make you more of a modern commercial cow that's long-bodied with a very youthful, well-attached mammary systems with a solid foot and leg. One thing, I was on a visit to Greg Bauer's farm, Sandy Valley, recently, and they're milking about 10 to 12 Challenger daughters, and Greg Bauer himself commented that Challenger was the best udder shape and udder texture bull that they've ever used on their farm. So he's extremely proud and happy with the Challenger daughters that they're milking. As we move on, we do have a great group of Challenger sons available to the industry. As we look at this group that's listed here, this bull of 10 Challenger sons are represented here, and there's 6 different maternal grandsires. So that's kind of fun that there's a diversity in the pedigree there. Some of those bulls are backed by Granite or Achiever or Joe Super, IMAX, some of the favorites out there that have made really good cows. You look at this group, and this group averages extremely well for fat tests. This 10 bulls average 0.20 for fat tests. They're plus on protein percent, and as a group are very, very good on type. These 10 bulls are average over 1.5 points on type and are well over 2 points on our composite, and with that over a point on DPR. Multiple bulls in this group are available sex product, and also Cheese Boy and BC Map would be A2 bulls out of these unique group of Challenger sons. Mike, you get to tell us a little bit more about our high-ranking #1 bull in Canada, Alcove.
Thanks, Paul, and a great summary of our results in the TPI listing. But we've got an exciting bull that comes through with his first official proof here on the LPI listing, bred by the West Coast herd in Western Canada, a partner herd with Semex. Congratulations to everybody at West Coast, the Koyman family, for developing this bull and this cow family that they've bought into. We're really happy and excited to see the first #1 proven sire come from the West Coast herd, and look forward to future success with that program. But we've got an exciting bull here as the #1 LPI sire in Alcove, a Duke from an MVP from an Epic cow family that they invested in from Golden Oaks a number of years ago. He debuts as the #1 LPI sire at $37.94. He is the #1 fat and #1 pro dollar bull. As well, he still is a very, very respectful number 18 on the GTPI ranking, as Paul mentioned earlier, at 28.02. A beautiful bull in his own right, but we're really excited to see with what we're seeing in the field from his daughters. You see the brands there. He is an A2 bull. He is a fertility first bull. I think fertility is one of the most important things that we hear about globally around the world, and we often heard as this bull was used through his genomic career about what a stopper he was in getting cows pregnant, and now to come out as a #1 proven bull is quite a success story. And then combine that with the A2, I think a growing popularity of trait, all wrapped into one package. But you see the daughters here represented in this slide, And what we see out in the field of him is really what his linears show us for sure. This is a bull that adds a bit of strength, a bit of width of chest and depth of body. He's a bull that will certainly increase your levels of milk production. They do milk extremely hard. They do have great components to them. Like I mentioned, he is the #1 fat bull with great protein to go along with that. 148 kilos of milk, 97 kilos of protein, and over 2,500 kilos of milk with your positive fat and protein percent. Great numbers there. We do get asked about the bull on his milking speed. It does stand out there, and I think one of the greatest or the easiest comments to make, or the most logical comments to make back to that, is they are milking extremely hard, and they do give a lot of milk. And when you look at his breakdown of distribution of daughters and their milking speed, you do see a lot of animals represented as average, and then you get a few that are represented as being slow. So I think that certainly does pull that number that way. I don't see it as a big concern. I think everybody's very, very happy with the results. We don't get complaints from the guys that are milking them about this bull, but I think the alcove bull is certainly a very exciting bull to come through here as the #1 bull. He's a bull that will add some width to the mammary system. They have a good center ligament about them, and these will be cows that are going to be extremely profitable cows that are going to last for a long, long time. So I think quite an exciting bull. A group of great alcove sons are on our product offering as well now. So I encourage you to check them out as well as they gain in popularity, and we look at getting sex semen on some of them and alcove as well for the future. Paul, I'm going to turn it back to you to a bull that we're both excited about in Crushable.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, a Crushable was a bull that we acquired, and took a little while to get him to finally come to Semex. So we're extremely excited and proud that he was able to make the trip. He was born in Utah, made the trip as a young calf to our facilities, and has done everything that we could ask him to do right along the way. We've had some great type bulls, obviously, in the history at Semex, and this is hopefully the newest chapter in that long list of bulls. Crushable himself, a very impressive calf. His cow family is no stranger to us. He's a crush son. His dam is an 87-point mogul. And the next dam back is an excellent full sister to Byway. And behind that, you got 6 more generations of excellent PR Barbies. You mentioned the PR Barbie family around the globe. They've made great cows in and out of the show ring, great bulls and type specialists around the globe, and made many happy customers. Crushable comes to us. He was a bull, made semen early, was used as a mating sire, was a bull that was extremely popular, makes a great amount of semen, and now we're starting to see the milking daughters. We've seen tremendous amount of calves. Fortunately, last year to COVID, we didn't get to see a lot of these calves, but you did hear about them, and the few shows that were out and about, you saw the Crushables doing extremely well. They're long, stylish, modern calves with good feet and legs, open dairy rib design to them. And they've certainly, with the early daughter reports and the early rankings, has been one of the type specialists around the world. Mike, I know you've seen some more milking daughters than I have. Could you update us on the milking daughters you've seen?
Yeah, I think Paul, we're excited to see. You know, we've been excited with them over the last couple of years as heifers and the few shows they've been able to attend. But now that they're milking, and we're excited for the fall shows to be getting announced and see some of these cows get in there, and we are seeing a really great pattern from them. We're hearing great reports of the milking daughters around the world as well. And, you know, they're cows that they're great feet and legs cows. You know, you see the picture of the bull that we had up on the previous slide, and he's in one of the best foot and leg bulls I've seen. And we're seeing that come through in his progeny as well. They're great. They've got a great bone. They got great mobility to them. You know, they're very mobile and correct in their feet and legs. Their mammary system have great quality, great texture. They're well attached udders. These are cows that are just going to get better and better with time as they develop and fill out and mature. I think these cows are going to have great futures. He's certainly going to excel for the type breeder and the show kind. Now we'll move on into some groups of bulls, and I think rather than going through, you know, a list of genomic bulls as individuals, I like to take this time to talk about groups and show you the diversity of our lineup and different bulls for you to check out. And one of the first groups I always like to talk about is the Immunity Plus brand. This is a brand obviously that's exclusive to Semex. It's you know, this is where you get 30% less disease on those high ranking immunity females, higher than the average and low. and at the same time, we don't sacrifice any genetic level anymore. Our lineup of Immunity Plus bulls continues to grow and grow. And today we've got bulls that are Immunity Plus designation that are just as competitive with the general population. They're bulls that are mating sires. They're bulls that are going to definitely be influential in the Holstein breed, and bulls we'll talk about for years. Today we have 37 bulls over 2850, 28 bulls over 900 net merit on the new formula. A great group of bulls that can produce at over 1,400 pounds of milk. Bulls that excel on the LPI formula at 3,500 LPI, 24 bulls represented in that category, and still great conformation bulls at 27 over +8 conformation. I like to think as +8 is what we used to think of as +10 with the changes we went through in April. A tremendously well-rounded group of bulls in Immunity Plus. And when we look at them on a closer scale, specifically on TPI and net merit, I picked out some of our top bulls for Immunity Plus, not to single any one of them out individually, but a great group of bulls represented here in our top, in a group of 10 Immunity Plus sires, over 2,900 TPI, over 900 net merit, and over 1,000 pounds of milk. A tremendous group of bulls. And whether you want to look for bulls like Prologue that excels in feed efficiency, you know, it's a trait that we get asked about it more and more as we try and get our cows that are more economically beneficial. A2A2 is one of the traits that I think we get asked about more and more in every market as it continues to grow, and breeders are using exclusively A2A2 bulls. And then we want to throw an Immunity Plus on top of that. You know, you can be concerned that you'd be diminished in the quality of bulls that you're going to get. But here today, you see this lineup, and you can get bulls like Porsche and Richmond that rank extremely high on TPI and net merit and still are designated as A2A2. Bulls like Push Up that are high combined fat and protein. I think everybody's looking for high fat and protein numbers, and it's great to see bulls like that excel. And then fat or positive deviations, I think, again, is something that we're asked about continually that we want to see in a package of bulls. And you can get that from bulls like Fast Lane and Home Run. Just a well-rounded group of bulls. I think if you want to look for those bulls that are going to improve the health of your herd, reduce your disease, incidence of disease, and go with the Immunity Plus brand. And you can look at these to not sacrifice anything genetically and be just as competitive with what's being offered to you by the competition. Switching gears to an LPI focus to talk about a group of LPI, I think LPI will continue to be a formula that we want to work with for years. It's a formula that we know so well here at home in Canada, and we do have a great group of bulls come through this time in the LPI focus of sires. And you see the Ranger Red bull there pictured in Hungary, a bull that we've used extensively as a mating sire, released now in sex semen. A bull that I think is going to tick a lot of boxes for a lot of people. And you see that Ranger Red with his double-digit conformation, 3,900 LPI points and over 1,400 kilos of milk. An impressive bull to lead this charge. But to take nothing away from the group of bulls that's below him, we have a group of 10 LPI bulls that I just picked through our list. A group of bulls again that's over 3,600 LPI with 1,200 of milk and just short of that double-digit mark of conformation at +9. A tremendous group of bulls when we look at our LPI profile, an index that we continue to develop, and we want to continue to have that group of genetics there for the breeders around the world that want to select on an LPI criteria. And Immunity Plus comes into play here in LPI again. You still want high LPI bulls like Lugnut or the A2A2 designation from bulls like Torrance. We also want to see bulls like Kleinuk Float that represent that balanced breeding kind with double-digit conformation, solid production, and health traits. And then we want to see high component bulls as well, like the Rock and Roll bull. I think what's great here is we have bulls represented from not only breeders from around the world, our internal program at Progenesis, as well as our partner herds that we work with on a daily basis. A tremendous group of LPI-focused sires, I think, here, with no sacrifices anywhere, still ticking all those boxes that so many of you are looking for. And staying with, switching over to a conformation focus, I think this is something that we still get asked about on a regular basis, and we want to make sure at Semex that we continue to have a great group of conformation bulls for you, the breeders, to use in your herds, for those of you that want to select for that. We want to see bulls with great pedigree, great cow families behind them. And that's what we see here in this representation of our top conformation list with bulls from Brabantdale and Vogue and Tappanvale and BC and the West Coast herd, as well as Walnut Lawn, just not very far from our office here, just to mention a few on the list. But a group of bulls that makes no sacrifices. And not only do we have high conformation, but we also have the production to go with it. And I think when you see bulls like Alley Oop at 1,500 kilos of milk, and Braden P, that's a polled bull and a red carrier bull at over 1,200 kilos of milk, and Resolute at over 1,200 kilograms of milk, it really exemplifies the quality of the balanced breeding in our conformation program that we look for to combine all those things that we feel that the conformation sector and market segment of our industry is looking for, of that balanced breeding, the high type, no sacrifices of production, and great cow families to go with it. So a tremendous group of conformation bulls that I urge you to check out and on our website and inquire with your Semex representative. I'll switch it back over to Paul here now. And Paul, why don't you to lead us through some TPI focus?
Yeah, thanks, Mike. I got to talk about our proven GTPI bulls before, and now we'll look at our younger version, our genomic focus on this list of TPI bulls specifically. So these 10 bulls here is a really neat group of bulls. As you look at a group average for them, they're over 2950 GTPI and over 900 on the new net merit. Additionally, they're really a nice percentage group. They average 0.20 for fat and they're plus 0.07 for protein. Additionally, these bulls just don't only rank high for TPI, they average over a point on DPR. So they do well in the health traits. 8 out of the 10 of these bulls over 90 pounds of fat. They're 90 pounds of fat. 8 out of 10 of these bulls are over that. And we're 10 for 10 on this high GTPI group of being over a point for type. I think that's one thing as we analyze and sort against competitors, whether it be on net merit or TPI, type is still important. Doesn't have to mean show ring type. We're talking about functional type that lasts a long time. But all 10 of these bulls are over a point for type, and the group average is a 1.5, Mike, for type. Again, there were 10 for 10 on these bulls being over a 1.5 for otter composite. 10 for 10, and as a group, they average over 2 points on otter composite. I talked about pedigree diversity on our proven bulls, and that's also continues to be our challenge and what we need to do from a progenesis and an external standpoint. Of these 10 bulls, there's 7 different sires represented, 7 different sires, and also 7 different maternal grandsires. So there's pedigree diversity there to be had. There's more than a handful of these bulls that have been mating sires for us, or ERS sires, including Monteverde, Overview, Obsidian, Royal Flush, and PayPal. Also in this group, Mike talked about A2, and Pinball and Monteverde would both be A2 bulls. Look forward to Monteverde being available this fall. Otherwise, all these other ones are available. Monteverde should be available through our Fast Start program this fall. Just switching gears a little bit to the other industry ranking, and as Jay talked about, there is a little bit of a separation where people are kind of need to pick or decide which breeding goals they want to follow. If you have a net merit focus, we have a great group of bulls there, and this is an area where our external program and progenesis are focused on really heavily we've got the message from you guys that we need new net merit bulls and high ranking ones. And certainly at this list, a really nice group of bulls headed by Grey Cup and Graziano. That'll be available. Graziano is going to be available through Fast Start beginning here in September, and Grey Cup will be available in the fall along with Queen's Park. But as a group, this is a really nice group of bulls. They average over 1050 on the new net merit, over 2930 for GTPI. We look at their health traits, they're over 6 points of productive life on average, and they average over 0.21 for fat test and plus on protein, and are a very low cell count group at 2.7. They're not only high on net merit, these bulls are over an average a point on udder composite, so that's nice to see. 5 out of 10 of these bulls over also 1,000 pounds of milk, and over half of them are over 150 pounds of combined fat and protein, as well as 6 out of the 10 are over 100 pounds of fat. So quite an interesting group. The other thing is when a lot of breeders look towards net merit, they're looking to moderate stature. And all 10 of these bulls do moderate stature. They're all under a half a point for stature. And all 10 of these bulls are over 200 for feed efficiency. So we're hit the mark we feel we are with these bulls. And as they talk about pedigree diversity, there's 5 different sires represented here and 8 different maternal grandsires. 2 of these bulls, Brave and Moonrise, are also A2A2. And if you're looking for BB bulls, Great Cup and Graziano would fit that category. I'll turn it over to Michael, who's going to talk about our Jersey proof day.
Thank you, Paul. And I am going to just start off a little bit and feed off of what you guys have talked about in terms of diversity of product line. You know, as we go down and look at the lists and the groups of bulls, I'm excited about the breadth and depth of the lineup that we have to offer the global Jersey market. But particularly in terms of what we'll show you on diversity of our lineup, it's ever more important. Because we can have all the top ranking bulls in the world, but if we can't use them on the female population, it doesn't amount to a whole lot. And I think you'll find very much so that the sire stacks and the bulls that we have to offer, not only conventionally, but for a lot of places in the world, most importantly from a sex lineup, they will fit exactly what the female population currently needs. So I'm excited about the next 3 or 4 months, and we'll also give you a little bit of a glimpse into the future to get you a little bit excited about what the product development team has done in preparing us for future success as well. Next slide, please. So I do want to just take a quick minute here in terms of our continued dominance from the Canadian standpoint. Lencrest Contour leads the way with 8 of the top 10 genomic LPI sires, as well as leading a list of our Semex bulls that are 9 of the top 10 genomic proof dollar sires. Certainly there are a fair amount of markets around the world that still will focus on the LPI as the guiding light, if you will. And you can see from a genomic standpoint that Semex is dominating those lists. Also, would be remiss if I didn't mention that Vivaldi continues to be our #1 proven LPI sire, and you'll see his influence both on the maternal and paternal side of various pedigrees, Jersey pedigrees from Semex around the world. From a type standpoint, when I'll file this one under, he is exactly who we thought he would be. In terms of River Valley Venus VIP, in terms of a niche show bull and what he can do. Not only is #1 proven type bull in Canada, but he's in the top 5 for both udders and type in the US. And for those in that particular niche market, he's as consistent a udder bull as you'll find out there. And I've personally been able to see upwards of over 100 daughters. And so while that's not the most important thing in the world, that is something in terms of what he can bring and the impact that he can have on that niche part of our market. Next, please. Thank you. Along those same lines, an exciting Showtime bull that is just recently out and with some sex semen, should be hitting your markets as well. Is a VIP son out of Evan Lee Premier Chocolate Chip, perhaps one of the best looking, greatest cows walking around the barns in Canada and perhaps North America right now. He'll come in genomically as the #1 type bull along with his sire VIP, with some very impressive numbers there. As I mentioned, sex semen should be hitting markets around the world as we speak, so you can start making those June calves as well as future September calves as well. Next slide, please. So in terms of the overall Jersey market and what's important, and Jay mentioned some of the changes that we've had in cheese merit this time, that it has shuffled some things, and certainly one of the indexes that we focus on, or I should say you have focused on, in terms of the client voting every day and the semen that they buy, we've seen a shift over the course of the last 3 years, moving more towards a cheese merit as an indicator for the semen and the bulls that get used, as well as probably most importantly, as Jay mentioned as well, the custom indexes that really reflect how you get paid at the client and dairy level. But nonetheless, we feel very good in terms of the spread and the diversity of lineup that we have with our cheese merit ciders. There was a little bit of some re-ranking there, but then I'm going to talk a little bit about specifically a couple of these ciders because you may not be as familiar with them. But when we look at them as a group of bulls, we have 6 of the top 30 cheese merit bulls in the industry. What's most important about that is we can look at all these top ranking lists and they're impressive, but if you don't have these bulls available, and in the Jersey world, most importantly, if you don't have them available sexed, it's going to be hard to make sales. And so feeling very good about the 6 of these top 30 bulls being readily available with sex product. As you go down and look at the depth of our lineup, 20 of the top 100 cheese merit bulls in the industry are available at Semex and are sexed as well. We highlight one of our ones there, TOG Latitude, which again shows you a little bit of that diversity of product. Sire stack, he's a Mighty out of a Charmer, out of a Hilario. But just as you look at the Sire stacks there, you can easily tell that the predominant female lines, these bulls are going to be very complementary to those female lines right now. Next slide. So as we've talked about immunity on the Holstein side, and sometimes we've been up and down in terms of the availability and, and strength of our immunity lineup on the Jersey side. But as you look at this list and you look at the numbers, and if I would share with you, average JUI on these bulls is going to be right around that 10 mark. So you're bringing profitable production with these indexes. But this is a tremendously diverse, tremendously deep group of Immunity Plus bulls that we're very proud of. And again, as I mentioned, it's also extremely important that they have availability with sex semen. And we have availability in all of these bulls in terms of sex semen that's ready to go worldwide. So we're excited about what our lineup not only is in terms of its ability to meet modern indexes, but with one of our true differentiators from the Immunity Plus side, extremely deep and extreme solid opportunity to expand the Immunity Plus lineup throughout the world. Next slide, please. So I did want to just, I'm not one that likes to get caught up on individual bulls a lot, but here's a bull that we released between proofs here, and with the change in numbers, I think is going to be what I'll call one of our bread and butter bulls. I mean, he produces sex semen extremely easily. He's Immunity Plus. He's still a fast start bull, A2, and as I mentioned, he's making sex semen at 130 JPI. That's going to put him in towards the top of the rankings. He's going to be in the top 15 with his cheese merit, and I would dare say in terms of actual availability, he's going to be top 7 or 8. Where he really excels in some of these traits that he brings, you can see he brings a high volume of milk without sacrificing the components. 86 pounds of fat, which will put him number 4 on the Genomic marketed list for pounds of fat, and number 1 pounds of protein. And those of you that have been around the Jersey breed a long time know that pounds of protein will always drive profitable production and enough volume to get you places no matter how you're paid for your milk. Even more impressively, he's very solid on his type at 1.6 with a linear that fits a very profitable JUI at 12.8. And when we talk about diversity of product lines, you can see the Sire stack. We mentioned Mantra, Messi there, but it's Mackenzie, Zuma, and Ayatollah. And so that's a Sire stack that's going to be extremely unique. So he's unique. He brings some of the extremes that are going to make for a profitable next generation. So we're excited about this bull leading our lineup as we go into the next 3 or 4 months. Next slide, please. Another bull that's just right on the cusp, and sex semen has just arrived in the U.S. Another Mantra son, but out of a Listel P is Alam Trilogy P. And for a polled bull, and regardless of whether he's polled, very solid statistics, and you throw the polled in there, and this is a unique individual unto himself. 122 JPI, you can see there, most importantly, right at that 600 cheese merit mark. High volume of milk with good components. Again, another high protein bull, and a bull from the Alam farm who that prefix should be should be no stranger to bulls you've gotten used to seeing in the Semex lineup, and one that our future Jersey product development manager has had his hands on, Mr. Jonathan Merriam. So we're looking forward to having his touch on the Jersey product line as well. But this is an outstanding and exciting polled bull that's going to be available to most countries from a sex standpoint. Next slide. When we talk about the commitment to polled bulls, and traditionally in the Jersey breed, you know, there's been a lot of ups and downs in terms of the quality that you have and the availability of homozygous in particular. There has been a commitment over the last couple of years in terms of making sure we're aligning ourselves with what the market's demanding there. Pine Tree Popcorn, PP there, a Pharaoh out of a Listowel with very solid production numbers, very solid JUI, plus 2.5 DPR, which truly is a rarity in the Jersey breed, and coming right behind them. And these bulls are in the process of being test sorted. But they provide us currently on bulls with semen available with 2 out of the top 4 homozygous polled bulls. And as you can see, coming in the near future is a very high level a bull that we're extremely excited about, that will add the polled genes in a lot of places around the world with those kind of numbers. He'll be in high demand, and regardless of whether he's homozygous polled, would be in high demand. You throw that homozygous polled in there, and he's just really going to be an exciting individual that's not too far off in the near future by the end of the year. Next slide. So, myself being a salesperson, I always get a little bit nervous when we talk about bulls that haven't made any semen yet, aren't ready to go. But I do think it is extremely important that you understand the commitment to the Jersey breed and the success that's happened over the last couple of years, in particular, to set the Semex sales force up for success, and you as clients and breeders to be able to access profitable, highly profitable genetics from the Semex Jersey lineup. As you can see there, here's an example of 3 bulls that are 6 and 7 months old that are at the top of every list that you can think of in terms of the indexes. And so we're excited about what we've been able to make internally from a product development standpoint, as well as an acquisition that was made there with Big EP, another commitment on the polled side. So just extremely happy with what's coming. And I'll finish it off with just saying, you know, as we talked about, very pleased with the diversity of the lineup that we have in the Jersey program, in our increased commitment to making as much Jersey sex semen as we possibly can. I think you're going to find access to our top genetics easier and easier as the year goes on and we go into the new year. And we're excited about the availability of top Jersey genetics from the Semex program. So I appreciate your time to talk to you a little bit about the Jersey lineup today, and I'll throw it back over to Jay.
Thank you, Michael. And if Mike and Paul can join in, and we have got some questions in, and I'm going to go through them. Most of them are aimed at me, so you know, but you guys are welcome to jump in and correct me on any of them or give your opinion. There is a few on the bull side, but so I'm just going to go through them. So we got a question from South Africa that they noticed the Holstein TPI proof sheet now has a trait called feed efficiency and a trait called feed saved. And the question was, what is the difference between the 2 figures, and why can they be so different? So I was so in essence, feed efficiency has always been a component of the TPI formula for, well, it has been for a number of years. And what it did do is it included previously, like we'll go back a year, it included energy corrected milk. So the ability for the cows to produce pounds of milk fat protein more efficiently. So it included an energy corrected milk component and a negative body weight or body maintenance component in feed efficiency. When residual feed intake and feed save came out, the Holstein USA added residual feed intake as an observation, as another proof in it, and then has this feed efficiency that has those 3 components: energy corrected milk, body maintenance, and then your residual feed intake, which is your biological feed efficiency. So those are the three components going into the US. Into the feed efficiency that the Holstein USA produces. The feed save produced by CDCB just has the two components. It doesn't include the energy corrected milk. It just has body weight, a negative weight on body weight composite, and residual feed intake. So it's meant to represent pounds of feed saved by either efficiency of intake or maintenance, feed required for maintenance. So I guess the main thing is the feed efficiency contains that third component that the feed saved doesn't. I can't say that the weightings are the same in sense of how they weight body weight and residual feed intake in the two formulas, but that's the main difference. We produce them both because they're both proofs that are available in the industry, one going in the TPI and one in essence going into the net merit part. We got a question from Norway, was related to the Ayrshire recessive called the AMC, and is this something the Norwegian Reds need to be concerned about as well? And I would say that the mutation happened at that Petersland bull. I think was born in 1996, I think it was, if I'm remember right, or 91. Let's say I don't remember. But that bull and has an influence worldwide across Ayrshire and red populations. And so if he's been used in Norway as a bull that has been sourced or behind any lines in Norway, then it should be a concern of them to the gene, because it can easily, even with a little influence, replicate itself in the breed. So I would say, in all likelihood, yes, they should be concerned about it in the Norwegian Reds. If they haven't used the bull, then no. But if the bull's not in any source pedigree. We had a question from Canada, which was, how can we suggest to Canadians how to use net merit dollar in Canada versus pro dollar, especially related to the net merit being in dollars and these components. And so what I would say is, you should, I would say, in Canada, pro dollar is built for the economics in Canada. Probably the Canadians that are commercially focused and looking for a pro dollar index should use the pro dollar component when doing. I can say pro dollar, the plan is, I'm not sure which proof, but I think April, to update the pro dollar index with what is feed efficiency in Canada and we'll say maybe a different evaluation in terms of negative body weight. So I know pro dollar's plan is to be incorporated with some of the changes that have been done in the net merit, and that might address the question a little bit. But in Canada, there's going to be followers of US index in all parts of Canada that may prefer using TPI or net merit ranking. I think for the most part, their rankings, the expression in dollars might be one currency or another, but I think their rankings. And so I would, it's representing of the dollars over 3 lactations, different than the average in the population for net merit. I think it applies in Canada. For the most part, if you wanted to convert it to Canadian dollars, you can, but I think those that are US proof enthusiasts in Canada can readily use the net merit formula if they choose to. We got some questions from the US, from a US breeder here. Why would net merit change more on the top end animals than on the lower end animals? And I think I'm thinking maybe different people might answer this thing differently, but I think what you're doing is when you start adding more traits that disperse, that aren't necessarily correlated with existing traits, you're just going to start getting greater separation. Those bulls that have the traits and then align the new parts and get kind of the benefits of all, and then the bulls that are going to kind of hit and miss on the different ones. So I think the nature of adding new traits that have maybe not a high correlation with existing traits is you're going to create more spread more spread in the index, but potentially where some high animals will go up, where the high animals that maybe are particularly getting the strengths of all of it are going up more than the rest. But you definitely see a greater tail at the top end. The next question, to give me a break, is from Argentina. What made alcove so influential in these tests? And what do you expect from Torrance, one of your sons with the highest udder indexes? So Mike or Paul, I guess is.
Sure, I can jump in on that. I mean, I think, I think I guess the question is what made alcove come up so high, I guess is how I take that, Jay. And I mean, he fits the formula of what's been designed to, identify the bulls that are going to give you the best results as our breeders, our customers around the world. And I mean, when you get a bull like that, that's so extreme on production, he's so extreme on his components and positive on his deviations, and at the same time, he stays above those thresholds on your health traits, on the majority of the health traits, your conformation traits, and everything else that, he doesn't have a major weakness to him. I mean, I talked earlier about the milking speed, but I think as a user, I don't think it's something to be concerned about. But I think he's just a bull that excels in so many assets of what makes a high LPI bull, as well as the TPI. I mean, he bridges that gap. When we talk about the correlation between LPI and TPI, he fits both formulas, and he just fills in those holes, and he makes the kind of cows that I think people are going to like everywhere. And then I guess the question was on Torrance and what is he going to do, Jay? Is that what it was?
Yeah, I think Torrance, one of his sons, has one of the highest udder indexes, and what do we expect?
Yeah, and I mean, Paul can interject here if he disagrees or wants to add anything, but I would think, and when you look at a bull like Torrance, and he's got those traits built into him from both his maternal and his paternal side, and then he's that strong on his mammary system, I think we can look for Torrance to, follow those things that we appreciate, from that pedigree of his that comes through, but also just improve mammary systems that much more. So I would expect good things from Torrance, and he was in one of those groups of bulls that I talked about earlier that I think we can expect great things from him in the future as well. I don't know, Paul, if you have anything to add to that or not, but.
Yeah, all I'd say is, Torrance comes to us from a herd that we work with pretty strongly in New Mexico, Leading House, and they breed for really nice udders and long-lived cattle. So it's a bull that we acquired from them. The dam is a Jedi, and Jedi work really well in that herd. They have a dirt lot herd, so work really well. They're milking some alcove daughters and really like them. And this is a herd that milks on multiple facilities, and they milk about 25,000 cows. So this is a bull they identified meaning alcove himself, to produce Torrance, but to use him not only as a genetic bull to create Torrance, but also in their main herd for lots of daughters.
Okay, thanks, guys. The next question, in which cases would you recommend to use TPI or net merit index as the index to make a genetic improvement on the different environments or systems? And then for pasture, any preference, correlation between indexes and grazing merit? So, I mean, I think the index is to the client of which ones they gravitate to and their interest. The more commercial herd that really looks at pure dollar is going to be in that net merit kind of category. If they agree with the principles, there might be some people that with the principles of it, they've been that way, but might be looking at other things. Your TPI, a little more functional index where you're looking for that economics, but also that maybe concern with the cow and trying to build a cow as well at the same time, rather than just the pure economic result. Net merit is neat in the sense that it just says what's the relationship to economics and select for it. And the other one says, okay, let's try and be concerned where what we're building and try and build it right. And in many ways, it'll come closer together. And sometimes when these changes, they'll come further apart. The question on grazing merit. So just, I looked at it while this was going, and the grazing merit has less productive life than the main difference is less productive life than net merit on grazing merit, and that weighting is mostly shifted to DPR and heifer conception rate and cow conception rate. So that need for more reproduction in terms of your grazing product, and there's a little more negative weight on the body weight and a little more on the residual feed intake. But those are the main components it's aimed at, the grazing market, in terms of an index for selection. You know, grazing markets in the world, I always find they have a little different philosophy. Some towards more strength with that grazing part, others don't. They all believe in that reproduction side. So I think you would gravitate towards the grazing merit if it is a herd that would be looking for that. Again, we love the client index and building an index that's exactly to the needs of the client within the environments they have their cows. That question was from Colombia. Another question from the United States is is there a concern we're losing too much strength with the new feed save trait? There seems to be a high correlation between negative strength and high feed saved, and it's a really good observation. I'm going to say that I think they don't really want to put they want to have an emphasis on body weight in terms of the maintenance requirement, and they're using body weight composite produced by Holstein USA to predict body weight as the best estimate for body weight, recognizing it's not ideal. And body weight composite, its biggest traits that influence it are strength and negative dairy form. So if you select negative body weight, then you're actually selecting less strength and more dairy form. And I think it's a little concerning. I think and I think everybody recognizes it's a little bit concerning. It's maybe still mostly correlated with body weight, but is it changing the animal in the ways that maybe doesn't make a healthy, fertile animal? And as we said in our webinar on net merit, the net merit does include a lot of selection on health and fertility. So does it protect it enough in that selection, trying to build towards economics? But I think even the authors of net merit and this research recognize that ideally they have a body weight measure that goes into this, not selection for traits that maybe change the dynamics of the trait. And I think it's the research that's continuing to try to not have that as the traits going in, but pure body weight as its mechanism in there. There is a question about 3 bulls in the top LPI wanting to know semen availability, and we're not gonna address that one. I'm gonna leave it to Mike to follow up with this person, if that's okay, Mike.
Yep,
but the bulls were Alligator, Seducer, and Montford for people of interest, but it's best because in this kind of part, it's gonna be semen availability is gonna vary a little, and I don't think we should get into it on the call in this forum. But best suited grazing pro bulls available, and I don't know if one of you guys can look at the grazing pro list on the Semex website and follow that up. Yeah. And just, or can you, if one of you can, or do you want me to? But if you can do that while we do this last one, Thorsten is, well, he's from Austria, I think, yeah, I guess he's just saying it's not a question. I guess it's a compliment, but compliment on our jobs in that he's, and we do have a couple of bulls we could not even dream of 3 years ago. And I'm sure, we can think of the kind of bulls we're talking about that really kind of do it all that you guys have described, that are outstanding for markets, and markets obviously in Austria, that case. Has anybody looked up the brand on Grazing Pro and have any? Did one of you guys do that?
I'm not able to, Jay.
Oh, you're not? Oh yeah, you're on the thing. Paul, did you take a look?
My internet's being slow with us being on here, sorry.
Okay, we're...
I'm gonna have to get back to you.
Okay. Well, at the top of the Grazing Pro list, if we look at under TPI, just gotta look up, but I'm just gonna give you guys some names and then you guys can. So a TPI Grazing Pro is the Graziano. If I'm looking at the top TPI, Graziano, Brunswick, Mahomes is a bull that sits up high in that ranking. And I'm just looking at Genomic bulls here. Does any bull stand out to you there? Obviously, the attributes that we said in terms of fertility and size and high components in terms of a kind of a grazing program. But is there any bulls you can think of? I'm just going to name if there's other ones. Main Street is a bull on here. Any comments, Paul?
Yeah,
you guys.
when you list those bulls, Jay, I mean, you know, you've listed a few bulls that were mating sires for us. They're bulls that appeared on some of those top listings that that Paul and I highlighted. You know, I think those are ones that certainly stand out as some great bulls. And I think it's, you know, you take the Grazing Pro brand and it's meant to make those efficient cattle for grass feeding, but at the same time, they still have the traits that propel them up those index lists, that they're not making any sacrifices again to get into that brand. So I think probably a well-rounded group of bulls, just in those 4 or 5 that you listed, would be great options.
And that Grazing
the
Pro
other one
combined.
from,
Sorry, go ahead, Paul. Yep.
I was just going to mention the other one that shows up on the proven side is Mary. So we will have a lot of his bloodlines, and many of these bulls, like Mike mentioned, you will see laced into pedigree. So that gives us good ammunition per se to make the next ones. I mean, we're going to have piles of Graziano sons. My guess is Grey Cup does well. Mahomes does well across a lot of different markets, and we'll have lots of those. So we'll continue to see those and producing them for the future, not only available today.
And for info on the Grazing Pro, we combine an indirect evaluation of the BW in New Zealand with the Grazing Merit Index in the U.S., and then we make selections on thresholds in terms of components and fertility and lower stature and these kind of things. And I think it really does, I think, separate the bulls to the kind of bulls that make grazing bulls. So. Okay, so I think that's all I have in terms of the questions. So I just wanted to wrap up by thanking Mike and Paul and Michael for their outstanding contributions on this webinar. Thanks, guys. And I would like to express our appreciation to Krista and the entire marketing team at Semex for their amazing work behind the scenes to make these events possible. And of course, Joan, I have to mention Joan. And finally, a big thank you to everyone in attendance for your keen interest, the questions. We really appreciate your keen interest in genetics is always appreciated. And we wish you all a safe and fun weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.